we'll figure it out. Don't know when it actually is live.
Yeah, it said you locked the room. I don't know what that means. You locked it versus you didn't.
Neither do I. Maybe it just means no one else can come in. Excellent. Not that anyone else has the invite. All right, I'll just check it. Yes, we are live. How exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hi, guys. I'm sure there's people kind of seeing this all around the world. So Lauren and I wanted to come and just connect in front of everyone because we've been having such amazing conversations in the background. So yeah, I guess I'll do a little intro on me and then I can throw it to you. But for everyone who's watching this who doesn't know me, my name's Kat. I'm a natural health coach for women, and I basically just help people, take back their health and their freedom, hopefully once and for all. I've got a number of different opportunities that I provide, whether it's wellness programs and retreats when I can run retreats when the world isn't locked down. And then I also have a business academy for people who want to earn more income. And I like to just really meet anyone where they're at and expand and elevate from there. I truly believe that, we all have that power within us to feel better, look better, do better. And it's just great to kind of have guides and friends and learn the tools to utilize all of that that's already in you. So I really like to help be a guide and encourage and harness that power that you already have. And yeah, I connected with you, Lauren, it was a couple of weeks ago now, and we've just hit it off. And yeah, I wanted
to power of social media. It was awesome because I asked you, because you started following me, and then I asked you, well, what made you think about following me? And you said you had root cause of, getting to that root cause, and that was the big driver. You're like, I saw that, and I knew it was someone that was in my camp. So we started chatting. So it's great.
Yeah. So let's hear a bit about you.
Okay, great. And for everyone who doesn't know me already, I'm Lauren Zajac. I've been a physician assistant, which is in most countries now. It's a pretty international type of a profession. It's not quite a doctor, but between a doctor and a nurse, a lot of people think about it. So I can prescribe and diagnose and everything, and I see my own patients. And I've been doing that for 15 years. However, a couple years ago, well, 3-4 years ago now, I became that perplexed patient to other clinicians. So I started having different symptoms and things that I knew, I just didn't know where to piece them together. And I went to specialists, and I saw my colleagues look at me like, oh, I don't know what to do with her. And that's how I had felt about other patients of mine in the past. And from there, it just, I had to take back my health, and that's something that we'll talk about here, but it just was something I had never been at all introduced to. And thank goodness I had some of those people in my camp that said, look, there is this other side of medicine that you can look into to see what you can do and how you can help yourself. And it floored me that there was something else out there that we weren't being exposed to, number one. And I went to a medical school. I went to a physician assistant school where we were taught Western medicine, but yet none of this was ever brought up. And I was so thrilled to know there was other options, but I was so infuriated to know that it was being kept from us. So that's where I started.
Yeah. And that I can definitely connect with the infuriated. I've let a lot of that go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I know our stories are kind of similar, but different, obviously. Like, I didn't realize that my life was going to become this health story. Like, I just was a regular person, just wanted to be a yoga teacher and, just do the normal life, and I just got sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. And I thought I was pretty healthy. Everyone else around me would have said I was healthy. But I was just getting all the symptoms that no one knew what to do with as well. And this was, before we had all these names for chronic illnesses, and we had, anyone even really talking about it. So as I know you went through, having to just be passed around, and you can tell no one seems to know what they're doing, but every now and then you get that person who's like, oh, but take this. And it's like, but so
right.
a bit of that could have been
I mean,
It's okay.
If we can't put you in Western medicine, if we can't put you in a box, if your symptoms don't fit a diagnosis, we don't know what to do with you. You know, it's amazing for emergencies. It's amazing for acute, you know, issues. It's amazing for surgical interventions. Absolutely. And I'm so thrilled that I have that knowledge. But for chronic conditions, like is what we both were dealing with, we had these just vague symptoms that were worsening and for months and, you know, piling on to years. And it's like, where do we go from here? And we don't in Western medicine have a good grasp on that. Every time I see a commercial for a drug and everything, and I speak with my children, I said, look at what that drug can do, but then look at all the side effects and look at what they're saying. They're saying to manage this, to manage that. Like they're not saying to improve it or to reverse it, to manage it for you to just, so, you know, we have those discussions because I want them to understand, of course, medications are necessary at times. And sometimes even ones we'll talk about are necessary for the short term, but they're never meant to be long-term solutions. And that's where people just don't they don't know any better. And the clinicians honestly don't know any better that are trained that way. So there's no fault on that side either.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is there's no way to, like, I think that's what I realized with my Fury. It was like, there's no way I can direct this to anyone because no one knew any better. And I mean, for me, it wasn't that I was exposed to the other side of medicine. It was that I kind of stumbled around for many years. And I mean, for me, I knew that there was some kind of connection to food, the gut, something, because people were probably trying to tell me, but I was like, no, I'm in my 20s. I want to eat burgers and drink alcohol and do bad things. But at the same time, like anytime I would go away to like a third world country for traveling, the dogs are going nuts. I would be eating really fresh food and drinking filtered water, and I would feel better. And then I'd come back to the first world and I'd suddenly be sick again. And it was just like, there's something in this. So for me, I kind of had to stumble through it to find my ways. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I know that it's no one's
and
fault.
some people do say that, right? No, some people do see that. So, you know, I've noticed that when I do eat XYZ, that I do innately feel better. I have more energy. I can sleep better. My moods are better. You know, some people will definitely see that. But then there's others that nothing that they've tried on their own, the things that they've been researching, you know, try this diet, that diet, try these little things, add this supplement to your routine. They don't get any kind of any results there. And that was me. I mean, I had tried things on my own just from what I had been told by others or just researched, and I didn't. And I was going farther and farther down that autoimmune path, which is where, you know, autoimmunity is where some part of your body is actually destroying or, you know, really harming itself. There's so many, you know, everywhere on our body that can happen, on our skin, you know, anywhere, any organ can have autoimmunity. And that's such a large component of what women are dealing with from 20s to 60s. I'm seeing the gamut of people that just all of a sudden they start with these little symptoms and they don't go away, and then it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, and it just becomes where they think that
those early stages, like you said, that they're little symptoms, and so you're just like, oh, I'm just a bit bloated, or oh, my period's a bit painful, or whatever it is, and there's no one at any stage who's like, this is actually like a warning sign. Like it literally took until I was 29 years old, no, 30. Anyway, 30 or 31, it was a decade it was a physiotherapist or someone who was helping me with my chronic back pain. I was in a spasm, and I had to fill out one of those tick boxes of all the symptoms you've had in the last 3 years. And I ticked so many boxes, and he sat me down. He was like, you should not be experiencing this. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this is not normal. I was like, what do you mean? It was the first time anyone had been like, this is not normal. And that was when I was like, okay. So it's like those little, you know, whether it's anything, like whether it's a bit of a cramp or whether it's acne or, you know, lethargy or anything, I think it's important. You don't actually have to feel this bad.
Exactly. I know there's so many commercials targeted at cramp medication. Like that's not a normal phenomenon for women to have. Like you may have the littlest twinge of uncomfortableness, but you shouldn't need any kind of anti-inflammatory for that ever. So that's
Yeah.
telling you that's a dysfunction. Acne is a dysfunction. And when
Yeah.
I talk to people about little simple things, even on that end, and they're just like, seriously, like I'm a teenager, I should get acne or this and that. No, there's no, you shouldn't be getting that. Our body wants to be in balance. Our body is meant to be in a homeostatic nature. And if we're not in that state, then it's trying to get there. Like our body does want to be there. So it's trying to make
Yeah.
its way there, but there's the roadblocks of whatever we're doing. So
Mm.
people always say, I want great, skin. I want to be healthier. I want to have more energy. I want to have better relationships. I want to have great sex. Like they say all those things, but then the things that we're doing, like we're not willing to give on our diet. We're not willing to give on our mental health practices. We're not willing to give with our stress levels, because my goodness, stress is a huge factor in this, which it stinks because it's such a abstract thing, and it's very difficult, especially right now with what we're all dealing with. My gosh, there's even more piled on all of us, and everyone has this unique way of dealing with it, or their extenuating circumstances because of it. So all of those things, like we need to peel back, and we need to be able to chip away, and it's not going to be overnight, but that's where you get that sustainable health, that you get that sustainable balance that we're talking about, and you'll be more resilient too. So if something goes awry, or if you have a situation like what we're dealing with now, if you had a better backbone, and foundation of your health, then you would bounce back a lot faster. So
yeah. And I think it's that conversation that I didn't hear for so long. It's like, what things can you implement? Like we kind of, we all know what we probably need to be doing. We need to be eating better. We need to have self-care practices to calm our bodies and our minds. But what versions of that can we do every day for the rest of our lives without giving up life, and without having to sacrifice actually having fun from time to time and that kind of thing? Like that was the conversation it took me a long time to find, because it's a lot of like 30-day diet, or only eat this, or only do this. You have to meditate an hour every day. And it's like, well, I also have to live, or I have, a job, or you have kids, or you have whatever ABCD obstacles. So there's all of that, that the brain throws up, being like, well, I can't do that. So it's like, how do we make this sustainable, and how do we make it simple and fun even?
I mean, and there's so many little things, and that's where I've had to be a master in my own life, is that finding those teeny little cracks of time, really. So when you get home from work, like when it's nice out, I go and I run in the grass with my kids, and it's grounding, because there's energy in the earth, and there's energy that you need to physically make yourself more stabilized and neutralized. So to be able to ground yourself and be playing with them, like, and there's things called habit stacking, which is awesome too. So that's gonna go off into something else, but where you can do these things to really help yourself, but figure out these small little areas that you can just make your life so much better. And that's what I do so I see clients one-on-one, and I have a 6-month program that has really become this totally personalized, because that's the way it has to be. I mean, when I meet everyone's nuances, everyone's way of living, it's like, okay, so tell me about your day. And I actually kind of craft out a day for them after knowing everything that they do. So let's see where this would best fit in for you, and this and this, and really figuring out for them what works best, where they can do that little bit, maybe 5 minutes of meditation. Maybe they don't like that. Maybe they like gratitude journaling, and they like it in the evening versus morning, those kinds of things. So that's a huge part of it, along with the actual physical health, what you put in your body, and what's really going to help nourish you and then sustain you.
Yeah. I'd love to hear like a bit more about what you do, and what that looks like, and what kind of results you've had, like, and what modalities.
I mean, so I mean, I have 2 arms of my business. So I am a overtaxed, I've been an overtaxed woman who just is on that hamster wheel, like so many of us are, with whatever commitments we have in our life, and however our life looks at the moment, and carving at that time. So for me, it was the woman who had that sustained stress for so many years, and that cortisol level that was so high for so long that it eventually dipped down because I was so chronically stressed, and that caused me all of my issues. So there's that whole curve, and the cortisol is like a master, like we talked about stress, and we wished it wasn't as much of an impact, but it is, because that cortisol is the master hormone. So anyways, not getting too scientific here. So I do, you know, I work a lot with women, professional women, whether you're a mother, whether or not, doesn't matter. But any woman that has some kind of nagging symptoms. And then on the other side, I'm a police wife. So my husband has been an officer for 18 plus years now. And for me, I felt this real kinship to the police wife community and to be able to help them because they have a unique situation where they're adding, you know, the way of the world and the way that people are perceiving police, you know. I'm not going into that, but of course there's bad eggs in every profession, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, how they're being, how their spouse is being perceived, but then also this fear that they have. And a lot of people don't have a fear where their spouse, they're not sure if their spouse is going to return from their work at the end of the day. I mean, and that's, you know, personally, I mean, right. So there's a lot of different struggles that police spouses have. So I really cater to the police wife, and you know, so we have that kind of arm as well to my clientele. So it's really great. And then I meet with people. It's a one-on-one. It's a I'm in your life. We are a relationship. We are a friendship.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it's where, you know, because I personally didn't want to work with people where I said, okay, now I'm going to have you leave and I'll touch base in 2 months. Like that's more of a traditional Western medicine way of looking at things. And I wanted to make sure every week, every other week, we were having that Zoom call, that phone call, whatever. But also having that constant interaction where they felt comfortable sending me questions, or, you know, I wanted to know how something was working that we implemented, because it's all about education and empowering.
Yeah.
And then because I'm not, right, exactly. And I'm not going to be around for, you know, ever. Of course, some people like to do check-ins every 6 months or every year, but it's got to be a sustainable change for them, because I don't want to just start someone on something and then it not be sustainable. So with that, you know, we talk about with health, and we were talking about gut health. So a lot of people don't realize that, yeah, you might be eating really great food. You might be taking wonderful supplements, you know, to really augment your health. However, if you're not digesting it well, if you're not absorbing it well, if you're not converting that well, and you're not bringing it into your cell, then it's not going anywhere and you're not getting healthier. So that was another aspect that I didn't even, you know, like we talk about being healthy versus like really having that true, great, amazing health. Because it all has to do with your cellular health, the health of your actual cells that we're made up of. And that's where our energy, our true energy, if people remember from like biology class, ATP is our energy source. So really finding what our true health is knowing that we're really being able to bring in everything we need to. We have all those nutrients. And a lot of people don't have those nutrients because of the soil that our food is being grown in, even if it's organic, right? Yeah.
100%.
So most of us are nutrient depleted, even if we live in the first world and we eat like completely or mostly organic and whole foods, and you know, we're eating that wonderful diet. You still have so much in the soil that is lost, even in the last 30 to 50 years. So even from when we were, you know, babies, the food that we were fed was so much more nutritious than what it is now because of topsoil and everything else. So anyway, so I do a lot of testing. I do functional medicine testing, which is really different from Western medicine. You know, sometimes we'll add in some tests that you can easily get through your primary care doctor, but there's stuff like we're looking at nutrient deficiencies. We're looking at just the whole composition of, you know, organic acids, amino acids, like all these things that might be kind of, I don't understand what those are, but that's where, you know, I come in and where I look at, okay, this is what we need to do to really bring you back into that balanced state. And there's different regimens to do. There's ways to actually eat. We've never been taught. No one's been taught how to eat. Like that's not something, okay, you put something in your mouth and you just eat. You just chew, right? No one's been taught how to eat. No one's been taught how to sleep well. You know, so it's kind of like just starting over in a sense. And it's so amazing to even see with those such small changes. Even in the beginning, people are just wowed with what can be done just after having that knowledge and being empowered. So it comes with like that relationship and the testing together that I really find just we're able to peel back those layers and really get to that true health that you were talking about in the way that you can see. I'm sure the years that you were feeling, you know, less than, you weren't as wonderful and bubbly and energetic as you are now. I mean, you're always like super full of life and, you know, I mean, your vibration is like, woo, you know,
Exactly.
so,
It's
and
funny
you
because
weren't.
like you know, I've got like complex PTSD and all sorts. So I was very
Uh,
good at showing the world and myself that I was fine. I was fine. I was fine. I was fine. And I like would take everything I had throughout the day to be like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And there are people still today who are just like, you were never sick. And I'm like, I was dying. But it's just like I just had learned not to show that. But then that was another layer that was really starting to chip away. And you know, that stress, that cortisol is such a big factor. And I mean, for me, this journey didn't come out of like, you know, going to get educated. I'm lucky enough to have partnered with lots of different health professionals, and we've all co-created this beautiful program. And a lot of that is that connection, and that like we're friends now with the clients. So like, you know, I think like said, that kind of aftercare and that sustainability is such an important thing that we're not used to getting from a physician, or we're not used to getting from even like a coach or a healer. Like, you know, you're used to going in, you pay the fee, they do the thing, and then you see them again a couple of months later. But yeah, I like to kind of be there, and I like for every time they get stressed or every time they look at the products I send them, they're like, Kat's going to check in with me, or like, I'm stressed. What would Kat say? Or they can reach out and connect with me, because I know that's like, aside from the physical need that I had and the emotional and mental need that I had to work on, I think having that community and knowing that there's someone who knows you're not doing well and is going to check in, and you know, has things like suggestions that you can work yourself and take with you, so you don't have to keep paying, you know, exorbitant fees all the time to be healed. Like, you can be empowered to do it yourself and create. So yeah, I think that's why obviously we've aligned. It's like different backgrounds, but in the way we've both come to the same conclusions, which is really cool.
Yeah. And when there's got to be a whole paradigm shift, because you were brought up a certain way. Like I was traditionally, you ate the standard American diet, standard Western diet. Now, I mean, it's the same in Australia.
Yeah.
The standard, you know, the standard diet, and this and that. And so many people are still living that way because they haven't, thank goodness for them, they haven't had an issue. Like most of us, when you look at anyone in the space, we all have a story, because none of us started and imagined, like you said, that we'd be into this health and wellness space. Like if I looked at myself 10 years ago, I would have laughed. In fact, I had patients that would come to my office and say, oh, I've been trying lavender oil for my psoriasis. And in my head, I'm like, you're crazy. You are a nut, you know? I mean, and now I've come full circle because,
Yeah.
you know, of course, you know, things that have, you know, been in Eastern medicine culture and things that have to do with using the essence of our earth are around for a reason. So,
Yeah.
so when people are starting with that paradigm shift, it's difficult because there might be a lot of people in their life that are still living the other way and just think that this is all BS, and can't even fathom changing. So they're coming up with a lot, you know, up against a lot of resistance. So they really need that person or that team that's really in their corner.
We're not getting, you know, when you do have to change back to those old ways that humans have always done it, it's not a quick fix. It's not a magic pill. It's not something that you can be like, look, guys, I'm better. It takes time. Like, I mean, on the cellular health, like I've become such a geek for it now, but you know, I didn't know that it takes 120 days for our blood to completely recycle and actually change on a cellular level and all of that stuff, which again, I don't know enough about,
Yeah.
but like once it was working for me, I was like, why is healing my gut worked for everything? Like, why am I not sick anymore? And it was like, oh, like if you're going to do a diet, you have to do it for like, you know, 4 to 6 to 8 months to get like a full overhaul. And we're just not, we're so in that instant gratification mindset now for a number of reasons, which I also won't go into, but it's breaking through from that. So yeah, if you don't have that support in your communities or families, that's, you know, it's absolutely fine. It's no one's fault. But yeah, I think it's good to have, you know, that person who's like, it's okay. Like, I see you. It's real. Like, you're going to get through this. You've got this in you. Your insides just need some help.
Yeah. And to shift gears, if you're trying something, if you thought that this stress reduction technique would work for you, and you're like, you know, it doesn't feel good. So, all right, let's think about a couple others. Let's try this one for a week or two. And like you're saying, certain foods and having ideas of like great supplements or great foods. And, you know, because if you're just arriving at this space, you're not going to have a clue what, and you might think that something with these ingredients is awesome. Like I remember in the beginning, I started with like, all right, great, I'm going to eat like this organic, like soy based, blah, blah, blah. And then like one of my friends was like, you realize soy, you know, and then she went off, I'm like, oh, or this and that, you know, so like that's real. Like that happens with all of us. Exactly. Right. And as long as you're just continuing in that direction and you're testing and you're getting that knowledge that you need to really become well, because everyone is so unique. And that's another thing we're not taught is, you know, this is these diagnoses equal this in this person, in every person, therefore we're going to give this same medication for every person, you know. And so many of our medications, I'd argue all of them really true medications are impacting the actual gut health. So, you know, all of us, I mean, how many of us have been on were on birth control for decades? How many of us have been on, you know, an antidepressant, anti-anxiety in our lives? Like all of those things really massively take a hit. You know, your gut takes a hit from those medications. So, and that's an impact that's continuing on if you haven't dealt with that. So
yeah, and I think that's such a powerful point, because, you know, there's so many people who have like leaky gut or any of those kind of, you know, IBS gut issues. And the thing with that is that, yeah, the gut lining has been worn down by pharmaceuticals, by, you know, pesticides, by alcohol, by, you know, all these things that we're just using. And then when we do eat our healthy diet, or we do have our green juice or whatever, like it kind of is just going straight through. Like the gut's like, what are you doing? I don't have time to, I've just got to get that through you. And that's when we start to have the external symptoms, because the gut's like, I'm trying here.
yeah.
So yeah, really going.
Yeah, it's doing what it can, but it has limitations. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's just been such an amazing thing to physically experience, because yeah, like I think in a lot of ways you do have to physically experience it to believe it, because it is that, you know, you've got to commit to it for a while. But
yeah, and if you're not in a space, you know, like, you know, it's amazing to widen your space like we are, you know. But if you're not in that space yet and you're just one and you feel like you're out on an island and everyone around you is just like, what are you talking about? And just makes you second guess everything just because they're not at that point, then yeah, that can be difficult. So finding those people that are in your community.
Yeah. And I liked, like, aside from that, I liked what you said about like having all the different modalities as well and having the options, because I mean, we move through so many different stages of a healing journey. So, I mean, I've healed physically, but then this year I chose to dive deeply into the PTSD and the trauma stories and stuff like that. And honestly, like, there were times in those moments where meditation would not have worked, you know, where, or like journaling would not have worked. So it's so good to just know, okay, like there is this whole area that I could dive into for emotional health. There's this whole area with all these different options for physical health, and just, yeah, having those guides to be like, cool, like today we're going to try this, and tomorrow we're going to try this. And, you know, making it simple and fun even.
And knowing that someone that you're working with has that whole community behind them. So now, you know, I know the kinds of things that you love to do and specialize in. So therefore, you know, introducing that person to what they need next. And like you said, you did gut health, you did, you know, physical health, and then there comes the emotional stuff, because as you're peeling that onion, you're peeling slowly and sustainably, but then something pops up, whether it's a physical symptom or all of a sudden, oh my goodness, I didn't remember I had that issue that went on, and wow, that's really impacting me. I mean, that stuff comes up, that's real. Like we all have our baggage. I mean, we've all gone through things, and
yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. Well, I mean, and I know we probably both want to go into all the sciencey stuff, but we won't. But I think that's the real message I wanted to convey, is like that those simple, longer term changes are so powerful that they can be fun. And it's just, conversations like this and connecting with communities like this that really can move you towards that. You know, we don't want to shut down the old ways. It's just opening up to all the amazing new ways
and what
old ways.
And how much have we all been taught, it takes X amount of times before, a kid might like a food that they try. It takes X amount of times to be exposed to something before you really think about it. So having, those of you listening in, having you listen to our conversation and our stories, our testimonies, but yet, that might be the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time you've heard someone talk about something in the space. Then now it's just like, I think I'm ready to look into that more. Like that's what I'm hoping for you. Anyone that's, listening in, it's that this might be that time that you arrive at. And if it's not, maybe you'll tell one of your friends about when they mentioned to you, oh, I've been having this nagging this. Oh, you know what? I've heard about this. Like that's where this all just continues to grow is where we can disseminate information to our friends, family, anyone that will just put that bug in their ear. And hopefully it helps someone else.
I mean, that's the thing is we're now living in a very strange time where we can only really connect these ways. But it's that human connection, whether it's online or whether it's in person, it's those conversations, those organic connections that bring to light things that might not have come to light otherwise. And I think that paired with realizing that, you can be healthy, but having like incredible health is maybe something that you can't remember what that feels like. Like some people, like I could say the same, like you forget how incredible our human body is designed to feel when it's working well. And we all just kind of are moving through this existence of like, oh yeah, I'll have a coffee and I'll have that energy drink or I'll have that sugar. And I'm like, yeah, I feel good. I'm good. And it's like, well, you could feel incredible without even needing to have all that stuff. And
right.
I didn't believe that. I didn't even have space for that where I was. When I was sick, I was in that victim story. I was like, I'm special because I have all these problems that can't be fixed. And then eventually I realized, or I had to realize, that no one was really coming to save me except me. And that is an awful pill to swallow. And that's probably just triggered a few people who might be watching. And I send you a huge hug right now if it has, because it sucks. We all just want someone to swoop in and save us. And we all just want someone to be like, here's the magic pill. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen that way. We do have to step a little bit out and be like, ask a question or connect with someone, ask for help, like whatever that looks like. It may not pop up straight away, but my goodness, you can feel so much better than you do right now. Even if you think you're healthy, holy man.
It's coming back to that balance, right? We're all innately meant to be in this state of homeostasis and balance. And like you're saying, because and it is this long journey, but to feel so much better than you do now, and then to realize with each incremental step, oh my gosh, like I'm not self-medicating, like you said, with the energy drink or the caffeine, or I don't need that anymore, and that used to make me have a down after that high of energy. So all of that, that gets peeled away, and you really realize at your core that your cells are so much better, and they're detoxing, and they detox means so many things to so many people these days, because you hear about these quick fix detoxes, and truly like your body has to detox itself from everything that's around us. And
it's easy to do that kind of that step by step, rather than like, because I talk about this in my programs, where we have to detox the body, but we also have to detox the mind and the environment. And the environment on a food level, it's on a people level, it's on a social media level. And it's layers, and you can't just do it all at once. It'd be too much. So doing, nutting through it and having people to do it with is so much more fun. And my goodness, I mean, and I think some people, and I was one of them, I was just like, well, why do I need to do this? And I think it was that getting to my 30s and starting to be like, I do want to have kids one day. I do want to be able to, create people and nourish them. And then I kind of looked back at like what has impacted me as a person, and I don't want to project a lot of the stuff that was projected on me by all sorts of influences onto children, or onto my friends' children, or onto, and we have to kind of really peel back those layers to make sure that we are healing. And I think especially, I know especially for parents, and I'm not a parent yet, and so I can't 100% speak into it, but you can get so consumed with the fact that like they come first, or my family come first, or my parents come first, and it's like, well, no, if you don't come first, they're coming second anyway. Like,
it's true,
because
right? And I am a
you're
mother of
not
two boys, and
feeling, it's
100%.
worse. Yeah.
And they're also watching you. They're watching every action. So while I'm telling
Feeling
them,
every
look,
action too.
right. So, I mean, we're all guilty of that, whoever is important in our lives, and taking that back step. But then you have, and having them see I'm neglecting myself. Therefore they're thinking, oh, well, that's the way I should be when I grow up. I should be neglecting myself for someone else. And so at the same time, explaining to them what you're doing and why you're doing it and why you're going to take a night to go out with your girlfriends or do whatever, have a bath, something. When they
Yes.
feel that they need that, then they can tell us and they can have their alone time, so it's
Exactly.
powerful.
It's just a
Yeah.
beautiful new way to connect and communicate with each other, with ourselves. And I'm so excited to see so much more and more of it in the world because, oh, it just gives me chills. Because especially this year, we've had this huge awakening of consciousness, and I won't get all spiritual about it, but it's just like, we're suddenly realizing, wow, we are much more powerful. We are all much more connected. And what can we do with that? Where can we take that? So,
True.
yeah.
Yep. We're all here to help each other. If we don't band together during this, then it's gonna crumble.
What kind of life
our
are we
whole
going to be
infrastructure. Right.
living? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. I don't want to live
Well,
that
yeah, it was so fun. No, me neither.
way. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to go over? I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's been great. No, I think we had chat about a couple other topics we might jump on another time and just chat about.
Yeah.
But no, it's been so fun to talk to you. I did mention in the beginning, anyone that doesn't follow me, I am at Lauren Zajac Health. So Lauren, Lauren, Zajac, Z as in zebra, AJAC Health on Instagram, and then laurenzajac.com is where you can find me too. So I'm not sure if you wanted to mention, Kat, where you're at.
Well, I am at Lovely Radical, and if you want to learn about that name, you can message me and ask me about it, and lovelyradical.com. But I will pop all of that in the what do they call them? The show notes, whatever we do these days. But yeah, if anyone just wants to have a chat with either of us, just reach out and just connect, because at the end of the day, like we've said, these conversations can lead to so much, and sometimes it's just that little bit of guidance or that referral or something that we need just to open us up to a whole new way that we can be living. So I've really appreciated spending this time with you this morning, or this
afternoon
for you.
Afternoon for me. I showed my sons, I said, guess what? I just got off a call with a woman that lives all the way. They're like, oh my goodness, look at how far she is. I said, yeah, it's cool. It's
so
great.
wild,
We can do
right?
this.
That's so wild. Oh, well, thank you everyone who has jumped on to watch. I can see a few of you in the comments, but I don't know how to respond, so I'll do that after. But yeah, I'm so glad I got to give my time today, as I'm sure you are too. And yeah, connect with us anytime, and I know I'll be talking to you soon.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.